Hello everyone, today I'm going to tell you about pros and cons of living in Verde Valley, Arizona. So if you've been thinking about moving to Arizona and you're not sure where you want to land, stay tuned because you're going to want to hear about Verde Valley. Now Verde Valley being north of the Mingus Mountain Range and south of Sedona. It consists of Cottonwood, Cornville, Clarkdale, Camp Verde, and Rimrock. So stay tuned, I'm going to tell you all about it. The channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I'll teach you everything there is to know about living in the northern half of the state. If you are new to the channel, please do me a favor and subscribe. Hit the like button, the notification bell, because that helps other people who are looking for this type of information to find the channel and to find my videos. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I do sell real estate here in the northern half of the state, Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, Prescott. If you have a real estate question, feel free to contact me. I always have my contact information in the description below, my phone number, my email, or you could just go straight to the calendar link and schedule a Zoom call or a 30-minute phone call, and I could tell you everything there is to know. Sometimes people just call, they have questions, or like trying to figure out if it's right for them. Other people just call and they're like, I'm ready to go, can you help me find a place to live? So I love when that happens. Actually, I usually talk to somebody from the channel every single day, and I just love it. So go ahead and do that if you have a real estate question, and stay tuned. The video pros and cons of living in Verde Valley. So the first pro of living in Verde Valley is the location. It's conveniently located in a slightly higher elevation north of Mingus Mountain Range, but south of Sedona. I'm going to throw up a map so you have a little bit of an idea of where it is in the state. So it's not all the way up to the highest point of the mountains, which would be Flagstaff, but still way higher elevation than Phoenix, and so you have better temperature, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But it's also centrally located, so you can get to places like Flagstaff, Grand Canyon, but if you also want to go to Phoenix, you can get there pretty quickly. So it's a great location in the center part of Arizona. Number two pro is that rural small town feel. A lot of people like living in a smaller town where you're not in a city of 300,000, say. A lot of the towns like Cottonwood, say about 10,000 residents, same thing with Camp Verde. So smaller towns, fewer people, less crowded and that kind of thing. So more rural community, and that's a nice bonus for a lot of people who are moving to the state. Number two is traffic. Traffic is not that bad. If you live in Phoenix, say, and you want to go from Chandler to Phoenix, you're going to be in a traffic jam, and it's going to take you a long time to get here. But if you're in Verde Valley, you want to go to, well, for me, for instance, if I want to go from Sedona, Village of Oak Creek, where I live, to Cornville, I can get there in 20 minutes, and it's because it's, you know, the geography. It's not the traffic. It's pretty spaced out. Also, to Cottonwood, I can get there in 30 minutes. Of course, Sedona is prone to a little more traffic, but technically Sedona, not Verde Valley. So if I want to get to Cottonwood and I go through West Sedona, it will take me longer. If I want to take a shortcut and take Veerhead Flat, for instance, I can again get to Cornville in 20 minutes, Cottonwood in 30. So traffic not bad at all, except for Sedona, which is not technically part of Verde Valley. Number three is wide open spaces. So like I was saying, you do have a lot of space between the towns, like for instance between Cottonwood and Camp Verde, or Cottonwood and Cornville. There's space that's undeveloped, but also if you want space between you and your neighbor, there are a lot of places that have the houses are spread out, like you're on an acre, you're on 2 acres. So if you want a house with acreage, so you have a little bit of privacy, that's something that is available in Verde Valley, and probably more so, and say like Camp Verde is probably the top spot to get acreage, but also Rimrock and Cottonwood and Cornville, all of the towns, you can get a big lot if you'd like to be a little bit removed from your neighbor. Close to the tourism town. So that's another thing. If you love Sedona, say, or you love to go shopping in Jerome, but you know, Sedona, very expensive to live. So if you want to be near Sedona or you want to work in Sedona, you could buy a home in Verde Valley like Hornville or Cottonwood, and you can get to Sedona pretty quickly, but you don't pay the huge Sedona price tag. So that is an advantage, and I'll talk about prices in a little bit. So the other thing is nice weather. We are, well, it goes up and down, of course, where you are, Rimrock, Clarkdale, maybe a little higher, probably 3,300 to 3,800 foot elevation, you know, above sea level. So your temperature is not going to be super hot in the winter. You'll probably have, you know, Cottonwood maybe 100 degrees, 105 degrees in the summertime, and then in the summer, I should say in the wintertime, not super cold. You will get some snow, but not a lot of snow, and it will usually melt the next day. You also get precipitation, way more rain than Phoenix, maybe 3 times more. You might get around 18 to 20 inches of rain on a normal year, but yet it's not super rainy all the time. It's just, you know, nice weather, temperate, but not too hot and not too cold. But it does get cold in the winter. You know, it could get below freezing, and it does get hot in the summer. It could get above 100, but not the extreme temperature that you might see in Phoenix or the extreme cold you might see in Flagstaff, although Flagstaff not really that cold. So the weather is nice in Verde Valley. So pro number 6 is that there are 4 seasons in Verde Valley, and yay, that's really excited for people that come from Phoenix, because in Phoenix, there's really only 2 seasons. There's summer and then there's winter. Not a whole lot of change, obvious change in between, but here in Verde Valley, you definitely have the 4 seasons. Right now, it's summer going into fall, and pretty soon the leaves will be turning yellow, then orange, then brown and falling, and then winter, you know, the trees are barren, and then spring you get the little buds, and right now full green. And there's a lot of the a lot of the trees that are not evergreen that you got the cottonless cottonwoods. There's a lot of those, especially near the river, and I've got a maple tree out front, and there are many trees that lose their leaves, and that makes it that we have 4 seasons here in Verde Valley, so that is very nice. All right, so now let me go into the cons. Con number 1, prices are still a little bit high. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to move to Arizona, it's going to be super cheap, or I'm going to move to Cottonwood because it's cheap. It's not really cheap anymore. I mean, in the years ago, Arizona really was bargain basement. I mean, my family moved to Arizona in 1970 from New York, and it was super cheap to buy a home. My first house that I bought was in Gilbert, Arizona in the 1980s, and it cost me $85,000 for a single family 3-bed, 2-bath home. But not anymore, and not in Verde Valley. Just because it's Verde Valley doesn't mean it's cheap. Right now, it'd be difficult to find a home under $300,000 in Verde Valley. However, if you're open to a townhome or manufactured home, that would be possible. And a single family home under $350,000, $400,000, a nice single family, that's hard to find. Now, not impossible. You certainly can find it. And again, this is mid-2022. We're coming out of a strong seller's market where prices had gotten very high. They're starting to slip a little bit, get a little bit lower. So it's more available in the lower price ranges like that. But also, if you compare it to Sedona, prices are really good. So I just said it was hard to get a home, single family home, for instance, for under $400,000 in Verde Valley. It's same thing like Sedona, hard to get a single family home under $700,000. So you'll see it's still more affordable than Sedona. And then other areas are even more affordable, like Rimrock. I was there today. There are some very affordable choices there. Again, Verde Valley, I would say mid-price, but it's not bargain basement like some people think. They think they're coming to Arizona and they're coming to Verde Valley and everything is cheap, and that is not the case. Stuff is still expensive to buy everywhere in Arizona. So here's another thing, con number 2, there are a lot of homes that are on a septic. Now I'm not saying there aren't places with sewer, but if you have a problem with septic tanks, I've heard of people say, oh, I won't live on a septic. I don't know why you would say that, because it's really not that big of a deal. You just, if you're buying a brand new house, it has to be inspected and pumped according to the county. And as long as you're careful not to shove a lot of stuff down the garbage disposal, you're probably going to be okay. The other thing is you will find homes on a well. Not as many, for instance, but some areas like Camp Verde, you might have a home on a well, and that could be a concern for some people. Again, we have well inspectors. If I'm selling a new house with a well, I will usually recommend a well inspection that will find out how good the well is. So if you're afraid of wells and septics, might not be a good place for you. Number 3 is there are some houses that are older and that just need some work. Hopefully it's just updating. You know, your kitchen looks like 1978 is usually not a problem because you can still live in it, and then over time renovate the kitchen or change out the carpet. But you know, some of them are older too and they need a new roof or a new AC. And if you're handy, or if you don't mind, you know, paying for a little bit of maintenance, upgrades, that kind of thing, you could get it priced accordingly because it needs work. But again, if you're looking for something like brand new and spiffy, there are quite a few of the homes that are older and just need a little bit of TLC. Still good homes, but if you're like everything needs to be perfect, maybe not in Verde Valley, even though there are a few brand new developments. Another, number 4, I could say, is there's a possibility of flooding or having a house in a flood zone. There are some areas in Camp Verde or Cottonwood where they're close to the river. That's probably the big key. If you're very close to the river, not winter, if you're close to the river, there's a chance you're going to be in a flood zone, which could require flood insurance. Even though the river doesn't really flood the homes very often, there's still that risk. The other possibilities, it could be an area where the river or the creek bed flows over. Like for instance, in my neighborhood, if I go out that way, there is a big wash that runs through, and in the rainy times, a rainy day like today, I might turn around and not go that way. I might go the other way around the block to avoid hitting the wash and go over the culvert on the other side. And then another example is today I was in Rimrock. I was going to show a home, do a video tour, and I got there and I needed to cross the creek to get to it, and the creek was flowing very heavy and I decided to turn around. Now I know there was another way into the home, but that was my second strikeout. I couldn't get into the lockbox on the other one, so I figured I'll just go back tomorrow when the water is lower, because most of the places there, if you can't go your main way because of water, there's an alternate way. I just didn't feel like finding it. So another con is, you know, possible flood zone and possible water flowing through the creeks and the rivers that the roads will be going over. Number 5, this doesn't bother me that much, but there's not a lot of the big box stores. So like if you need to be in an area where there's a Costco, for instance, there's not a Costco in Verde Valley. There is one in Prescott if you go around the mountain, and there is one in Flagstaff, but you know, Costco, Target, Kohl's, Spencer's Appliances, we don't have the big box stores in Verde Valley. Now you do have a Home Depot and a Walmart in Cottonwood and some other big stores, but not a lot of them, and not like a Costco. Some people are like, oh, if I don't have a Costco, I can't live. There's also not a Trader Joe's, which is very sad. I would like Trader Joe's. But again, if you want a big stuff, you go to Flagstaff or you go to Prescott. So that's just how it is. Probably a very big con to Verde Valley is there are not a huge variety of jobs. You don't have big tech jobs or a lot of corporate type jobs. Now, again, I have a lot of people that relocate here because they do have a tech job and they're able to now telecommute and work from home, but there are not a lot of those companies based here in Verde Valley where you're going to go into your office and work. So not a lot of variety of jobs, but some of the jobs are really fun. Like a lot of people work in Sedona that live in Verde Valley. You got a lot of fun jobs here, like doing the Jeep tour, being a tour guide of the Jeep tour, or working one of the cool little crystal shops. You got those jobs, but not, again, the corporate type jobs that actually attract a lot of people to relocate to a town. Finally, I want to say limited entertainment. And when I say limited, not a lot of the art stuff. Now in Sedona, if you're into art galleries, there's plenty of that. There's also small community theater, small community concerts, small community festivals, which is nice. But if you want to go to the ballet or you want to go to the real theater, not a lot of that. You might have to go to Prescott or Flagstaff. Also, not a real big concert venue. Again, the small concert venues, we do have little small concerts that are fun, but if you want to go to a big draw, you would probably go to Prescott, to Findlay, Toyota Center, or some people go down to Phoenix, because that's where all the big bands go. So not a lot of entertainment in that regards. Plenty to do, especially if you are into the outdoors. Plenty of outdoor stuff, hiking, fishing, that kind of thing, camping, but not a lot of the artsy type entertainment, except for, of course, the art galleries. There's plenty of those here in Sedona. So that's it. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate in the northern half of the state, Sedona, Verde Valley, Prescott, and Flagstaff. If you have a real estate question, feel free to give me a call or text or email. My contact information is always in the description below, and you could also just schedule a Zoom call or a phone call by going to my website or going to the link in the description and going to my calendar. So I post videos every single week. I hope you liked the video, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope to see you back here again next week.